Welcome to Lesson 9, External Capabilities, Topic 5. In this video, we're going to see how we can use the IR receiver that's built into the Circuit Playground Express along with the TV remote. So let's get to it. So nothing special here. If you've ever taken a close look at the center part of your Circuit Playground Express, you might see TX and RX. Those are your transmitter and receivers, IR receivers, which can interact with pretty much standard IR transmitters and receivers such as your TV and your remote control. In this particular video, we're going to work with sending information, let's say via our remote, to the Circuit Playground Express. In another video, we'll go the opposite way, how we can actually use our Circuit Playground Express to control our TV. And if you think about it, that's pretty cool. The fact that this can actually interact with our devices in the house. Now, the other thing I like about the IR sensor is that, we have a button, we have two buttons, slide switch, a couple of capacitive touch pads. But now that we have the ability to use the IR signal along with our TV remote, we have so many more capabilities. We have numbers we can pass along. We can use the volume up, volume down, channel down, power buttons. All these buttons, we can give new meaning to it when we send that information to the Circuit Playground Express. So let's see how we do this. So we load up the Adafruit Circuit Playground Express library. As mentioned, this is something that's part of the Circuit Playground Express. So the library actually includes the functionality to work with the IR receiver and transmitter. So in the setup, we go ahead and we start the Circuit Playground Express, and we also have to explicitly enable the receiver because that takes power. So the receiver isn't constantly listening. You have to enable it to receive some information. Let's go down to a loop, and the first thing you'll notice that there's an if statement, that if we've received some information, some results, i.e. something from like a remote control, let's do something. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to decode it. Now you'll see a line here that I've commented out, the dump results. That's if you want to see more details about the information that was sent to us from whatever IR transmitter was being used. Again, in this case, we're using remote control. The next line though, this is the, no pun intended, this is the real valuable part of it, the value that comes from the decoding of that IR signal. And we're just going to go ahead and pull up the serial monitor, and I'm going to clear this out. I'm going to pull up the camera up as well. So in this particular part of the code, all I'm doing is just simply printing out the value, because you need to, as we've done with so many other sensors, you need to understand the information that you're getting so that you can make decisions based off of it. Give your application intelligence. So what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to move around some buttons. Let's try channel up. So you can see the channel up has a value of 63. Let's do volume up, volume down, channel down. Maybe we'll do a couple numbers. 2, 3, and we got the arrow keys too that we can use. So that's left. That's right. Down, up, that enter key in the middle. So again, I mean, we've really, exploded the number of inputs that we can use with Circuit Playground Express because the remote control has so many of those already built into it. Okay, so great. We're able to kind of acknowledge the values that get associated with each of these buttons, but how can we make that useful? So my suggestion is that you create a function to handle the processing of that value. So I'm simply going to call it my my function, and I'm going to pass it this value. Now it happens to be I already have the function created down here. And one of the things you'll notice in the functions is a lot of these comments, which have those numbers equated to the buttons or to the particular button on the remote control. There is no magic to this. I literally sat there pressing the buttons on the remote control and simply recording what the value was. Again, not all remotes work the same way. So you're going to want to do this process so that way you can understand how your particular remote is sending the information to the Circuit Playground Express. So the other thing I've done here to make it into somewhat of a practical application is that I'm going to play around with the NeoPixels. You can see the value of position. So that if I press, what is this? Let's see. I think this is the volume up. If I press volume up, I'm going to increase the position. If I press volume down, because that's what makes sense, volume down, I would decrease the position. Now notice how it was kind of hard to remember what those numbers meant. So what we could do, in addition to just having these as comments, is we could actually create variables for the different values. So for instance, the power button has this value. Well, now that I have a variable that has that value, in my if statement, I could say value equals power button. That's a lot more readable. You don't have to necessarily remember the numbers. So if I press the power button, I'm going to actually get a tone. So let's go back to our serial monitor. Let's go back to our, actually, you know what? I think I may have to upload this too. Because in the original example, I wasn't using my function, even though it was there. All right, so it's uploaded now. Let's go ahead and clear out our output, bring up the camera. And what you'll notice is that there's already a NeoPixel there because the value of POS starts off at 0. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to press the volume up, and you'll see that the NeoPixel goes around. And you might think, well, how's it wrapping around? Well, I'm using the modulus, the modulus operator to contain the value of POS within 10. And then I could also spin it the other way. And what was the other thing we programmed? The button, the power button. So at this point, I mean, the possibilities are endless as to what you decide to do with the remote control. But again, there's a lot of information that can be passed now to the Circuit Playground Express. So let's go back to our presentation and review what we've seen. So in Lesson 9 External Capabilities, Topic 5, we saw that we can use a typical TV remote that most of us would have around the house to interact with our Circuit Playground Express. There is a value that gets decoded through the library that we can then use in conjunction with if statements to do something with the Circuit Playground Express. Now again, just to connect this with other concepts learned in previous videos, you could have a motor connected to this. You could have some other LEDs connected to this. Again, it's all about how creative you become. But definitely the TV remote has increased the number of inputs we could provide the Circuit Playground Express. So enjoy.